when do you think you'll be able to give me that letter of release? Because I'm leaving. Hey guys, welcome back. Oh my gosh, I have missed you guys so much. It has been such a long time since we've done a sit-down video, right? A story time video, because this is a story time video, guys. Please grab a drink. Now I've got my drink in hand. Grab a drink, grab a snack, grab a blanket, get nice and warm. And if you are in a sunny South Africa, obviously you need to just grab nothing. Just put on your aircon because it's about to get heated up in here. But I'm gonna jump straight into the story. Firstly, thank you so much for your love and support throughout my mourning period. I did disappear for a little bit during the month of September because I was mourning the loss of a very special family member of mine. And I'm still actually mourning because, you know, guys, there's no time frame for grief, you know. Sorry, my braids are just getting in my way. Okay, there we go. There's no time frame for grief, you know. You just mourn and it just goes on and on and on again. And this time around, it was very weird for me to be like mourning someone this close to me, so far away from home. I'm not going to lie, guys, I was shattered. And I'm still shattered. So what happened is the 31st of August, I lost my uncle. I lost my uncle, my mom's brother, Abdukulu. We tragically lost my uncle. And how did I know to have tissue close by? I know these things. We lost my uncle tragically because he was murdered. He was murdered, and I think the way that he passed is what actually just broke all of us. You know, it's still unbelievable. It still seems very crazy that my uncle is not around. I don't know when we're gonna get used to it. It's crazy because every time I think about him or every time I speak about him, I cry. You know, I get really teary and stuff like now. But he passed away, and I remember on the Saturday I was just shattered. Sunday, I woke up and I was like, yo, does this mean that I'm not going to be able to go to my uncle's funeral because I'm at work, I'm in Korea? How am I going to get leave to go all the way back to South Africa, to the Free State, to go and bury my uncle? And guys, this uncle of mine was my favorite uncle. This is the main uncle in the family. I don't know in other people's culture, but in my culture, Rona Basotho, your mom's brothers are like the main uncles. So this would be the chief negotiator at your wedding, you know, Kimalume Oleman especially, you know, and I only had one of him, you know, and we were very close. Like my uncle was my fan. He was my biggest fan, you know. When he was home in Qaqwa, he would tell like his friends, like my other cousins and their friends would, yeah, I'm Chanawaka, you know, like my niece, you know, she's abroad, she likes to travel, she's flying, yeah, she's all over the world. Also Bushle, he used to call me Bushle. Bushle, my uncle though. And he used to be my biggest fan, my cheerleader. And he always used to give me all of his blessings while he was alive. And I really appreciated that. And I loved him so much for that. And I did exactly that with him. Like, he's literally one of those people that I made sure to give his flowers to when he was still alive, you know. So there's no debt or anything like that. And he did the same with me too. So on the Sunday, I woke up and I was like, does this mean I'm not going to go to my uncle's funeral? Because this is crazy. So Sunday evening, I got really emo and I sent my boss a message to say, listen, I'm so sorry to send you a text at this hour, but I've lost a really special and very close family member of mine, my uncle, who played a very important role in my upbringing, and I'm just shattered. Is it possible for me to rather just please use a sick leave day for tomorrow, because I don't think I'll be able to teach, because guys, I just wasn't going to be able to do it. And then I said, can I use my sick leave day, because I know that I won't be able to travel home for the funeral, because now I just thought I'm not going to be going home for this, because my boss is totally not going to accept it. So perhaps she can give me an off day. And she said, yes, it's fine. I spent Monday at home crying my eyeballs out. Guys, I cried so much. Like, just thinking about it right now I cried. And I think one of the things that killed me the most was when I saw videos of his very last moments alive. I think that's just what broke me the most. Just seeing him basically departing earth. So I spent Monday just crying and spoke to my parents a lot. And I asked my mom, I mean, what are the discussions? What have they discussed? And they said they're thinking of burying him like this following Saturday. And I was like, this Saturday? Like, how? You know, how do you just bury him like now, you know? And I knew that no one was going to wait for me, because guys, I'm 18 hours away. So I was like, okay, let me actually see if I can go to this funeral, because I was like, there's just no way that that uncle of mine is going to get buried without me being there. Tuesday, I go to work and I'm playing like my gospel music. And guys, I don't know. The thing with gospel is that it makes me really happy. It lifts up my mood. But when there is a death happening in the family or someone close to me, when I listen to gospel music, I literally just crumble. So I sat in the bus going to work and I started to cry. I got to work and I cried. And my coworkers were like, listen, why did you come to work? You know, and I just thought, guys, I don't have a choice. I have to come to work. And the four of them decided that they were going to split my 4 classes among themselves. Such sweethearts. And they said to me, it's fine. You know what? You can go home. Just we'll let the boss know that you are going home. They organized me a cab. I got home. And as I got home, the admin lady at work sent me a message to say that my boss wanted to come see me. And I was like, wow, okay. My boss really cares. Like, okay, she wants to see me, but guys, I'm not in the mood. Like, let's be honest, I was not in the mood to talk to anyone. I was not in the mood to talk to anyone. I didn't tell anyone why I was crying on that day. It was only like the following day when I arrived back at work to tell people like, look, I lost my uncle. But I couldn't speak. I had no appetite. I was just numb from the whole thing. But anyway, my boss wanted to come see me. She came through with the admin lady and they asked if I had eaten and I was like, no, I don't have an appetite. They drove me to one of these nice cafes, a restaurant very close to the hotel site where we work. And my boss was like, no, you have to eat something, even if it's like a snack or a cake or, something, a drink, order something because we're going to have lunch. You need to have something. And I got a drink, an iced coffee and a cake, and she spoke to me and she asked what happened. And I told him this is what happened to my uncle, and we're all shattered. And she told me how she felt when she lost her dad. And look, it was all just, it was such a down day for me. And in that moment, I felt like, wow, my boss has like such a huge heart to even do this, and want to take me out to find out how I'm doing. And I said to her, look, I know I had said I'm not going to be able to go to the funeral, but now that I've been thinking about it over the past 2 days, I feel like I really have to go to this funeral. And I know that we're teaching, I know what the schedule looks like, but do you think it's possible for me to, maybe take Thursday and Friday off, and then next week, Monday and Tuesday, just 4 days. I said to her, it will be unpaid. I don't mind. Do not pay me. And she was saying to me, it's unrealistic. Who travels abroad for like 4 days? And I was like, I know it's crazy, but this is like an emergency for me. I have to go home. It's something that major in my life. And she said to me, she doesn't think it's possible. How do I think I'm going to do it? I must let her know. And then we'll talk further about this the following day, which is like tomorrow. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Thank you so much for taking me out. Thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. But at the same time, I was still like, no, man, something is fishy here. I was like, something is fishy. Why is she being so sweet to me? Like, guys, I'm not gonna lie, but my boss is not the nicest person, right? So I was like, why is she being so nice to me? I was like, you know what? I think she understands where I'm coming from. So that same evening, after coming back from lunch with my boss, I spoke to my mom, and my mom said they are going to do a post-mortem on my uncle. And so they were thinking of moving the funeral to the following week. And the following week, guys, literally that weekend, not actually that weekend, but the week after that is the week of Chuseok. Meaning that we have Monday all the way to Wednesday off. But in my workplace, I knew that there was a possibility we would get Thursday and Friday off as well. Meaning that I'd have an entire week off. So I was like, great. This is actually amazing. Wait a King Mama, don't worry. I'm going to speak to my boss, and this is actually going to be great news. Like, she's going to love this news, because all I'm going to basically be asking for is Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday off, or even Thursday and Friday, just don't want to push it. Following day, I get to work and I say, listen, boss lady, can I please speak to you? I spoke to my mom, and she said that they're going to do a post-mortem, and they're going to move the funeral to next week. And I'm really happy because it's literally like the weekend of Chuseok, so I don't think it's going to interfere much with the program. And she was like, oh, okay, no, that's fine. I'll think about it. I'll get back to you later on today. We'll talk later on. And I was like, good shot, I went to teach, and for a moment there, guys, I was like, I get to see my uncle one last time. Like, I was literally so happy in the moment of mourning. My heart was broken, but for a moment I was like, yes, God is coming through for me. He's going to make sure that I see my uncle one last time before he leaves this earth. So my boss calls me in later on, and she says to me, we spoke yesterday, and I told you that it was not possible for you to go, but really, I'm shocked that you're coming to speak to me about this again today. And I was like, you told me it was not possible? What do you mean? What do you mean it's not possible? You said to me, I must think about it, right? You said to me, I must think about it. I must come tell you. And my boss then suddenly changes out of nowhere, guys. And she was like, immigration is not going to allow you to be out of the country for more than 3 days. It's a policy, it's Korean law. When we hire English teachers, we hire them to come straight in the country for a period of 1 year, and immigration is not going to allow you to go in and out of the country as you please. And as she's saying all of this, in my head, I'm just like, girl, you have no idea, because 2 weeks ago I was in Japan and you don't know this. Besides that, guys, in my first year here at EPIK, I went to South Africa, I went to Hong Kong a few times, I came back and immigration said, nix. Because the real truth is that immigration doesn't care how many times you come in and out of the country, as long as your visa is valid. So I said to her, but why won't immigration allow me to be out of the country for 3 days? Especially knowing that the week after that is Chuseok. And she said to me, why do you have to ask me that question? You shouldn't be asking me that question. And you don't have a right to ask me that question. And I was like, Hebato, what's going on here? Her face just changed. And she was like, it's not possible. Why do you want to go so badly? And guys, I kid you not, when she raised her voice, somewhere here in between my bones went click. And I was like, oh no, she's broken me out of the cage. And I remember saying, what do you mean? Why do you want to go so badly? Like my hands literally just slightly banged the table. And I was like, what do you mean? Why do I want to go so badly? I told you, like, this is my uncle. I told you about our relationship. I told you the role that he played in my life. Like, we had a full-on discussion about this. What do you mean? Why do I want to go so badly? Do you really not understand? And she said, well, I said it's not possible. And I said to her, boss lady, if this was my mom who had passed away, would I still not be allowed to leave for more than 3 days? And she said, yes, it's Korean law. And I was like, okay. And she said to me, I said it's not possible. And when I said to you, think about it, I wasn't saying go and think about it. I'm obviously telling you that it's not realistic. It's not going to happen. And if you're forced to leave, I will give you a letter of release. Okay. And I was like, I was taken aback. I'm not gonna lie. When she mentioned the letter of release, I was like, what did you just say? You know, guys, when somebody throws something at you and you just have no words and you're just fuming inside, and like this ball of fire is just growing and growing, and you almost want to be like, "Uthini wena?" But you're just like, oh, okay. I remember saying to her, oh, okay. And she said, it's not possible, okay? I said, okay, okay. She said, thank you. And I said, okay. Guys, I walked out of there and I was like, what the hell just happened? Because I was this close to saying to my boss, give me the release letter, like this close. So I walked out and I went back to my classroom, and I had a class to teach after that. So my mood literally dropped. Now my mood is like at a -10. And I'm like, okay, I've got my students coming in. I was like, let me get back to being B teacher again, because I'm talented in doing that, guys. Like, I can switch from being down to up in a matter of seconds. When my students come in my class, they must see the B teacher that I am to other students, regardless of what I'm going through. My kids must always experience me the same. So I teach my kids, and I'm bothered by what this lady said. I get into the van and I tell some of my coworkers, I'm like, guys, she just threatened to basically release me because I want to go home. And everyone was like, I was like, yeah. So what I did is I went into the Loft group. Love this group, guys. And I found one of the experts in the group, and I sent them a message on Facebook, and I said, listen, I'm so sorry to bother you, but this is the situation that I'm in. My boss has done ABC because I asked for this and that, and I don't know how to go about this whole thing. I tried to think of all of these other things, and I thought, let me not just judge my boss harshly. Let me see why she would have said no. I looked at all these things and I was like, nah, she's just being unreasonable. She's just being bloody unreasonable and unprofessional for even calling out a release later. So I got the advice, and the advice was that, number one, if you're really sure that you want to go to the funeral and you don't care what happens to your job, tell your boss to give you the release later. When they give you the release later, you can decide that if you want to stay in Korea, you can go on a D10 visa, come back, and you can apply for a job. Or you just decide if you really don't want the release later and you're done with your job, you don't need the release later. You're normal, so you can just go home. And I thought, okay, good. Sat in my bed that evening, guys, and I was like, God, what am I going to do? And guys, you know what I decided? I was like, maybe I do need to ask for the release later, then I'll go on a D10. But I was shit scared. Like, I don't want to lie, I was shit scared because I had never done this before. So I go to work the following day, I teach my classes. I had an off period, the last class, and I was sitting in one of my co-workers' classes. And I was like, you know what? Let me go and fill in my sick leave letters because I was off for 2 days during the week. Let me submit that, and then later on in the evening, I'll send my boss a message to say, listen, can you give me the letter of release tomorrow? Getting to the office, I make the copies, and guess who's there? My boss. And while I'm doing my copies, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Sorry for my bad language, but I'm going to tell her right now that I want that release later. And I was like, God, go before me. Be with me. And I called and I said, boss lady, can I please speak to you for a moment? And she's like, yeah, because that's my boss. My boss can literally threaten you the day before, and then a few hours later, she'll be like, smiling like nothing happened. And I was like, remember yesterday you said to me that if I forced to go home, you're going to give me the letter of release? And she was like, and I was like, when do you think you'll be able to give me that letter of release? And she was like, really? And I said, yes.
I think I try to do my best, okay? Yeah. Because I have other things to do. This is urgent, but I spent, really wholly 2 days just, focusing on your, I think, better. I did my best. You should know that. Yeah. Okay. I will prepare it and let you know.
When
I do not know. I'm preparing.
I need to.
That's your. I think that's your circumstances. Okay. I do my best.
Yeah, it is my circumstances, but I need to find out so I can book flights and everything. I need
Okay.
to pack and all of that. So.
You ask me right now. I cannot answer in a second.
Yeah, I know you cannot answer. I just want to find out how long does it take to prepare.
I do not. I will let you know.
When would I need to move out? All of the logistics. I just need to find out.
I should check everything for that. Okay.
Okay. When will I know?
I should have checked first. Then I can let you know when you can move out or whatever.
Yeah, but
all the contract and everything.
You
okay?
just need to let me know because the latest I can stay in Korea it's Thursday. I need to fly back home.
Okay.
So
I will, I will keep in mind. Okay.
As soon as possible, if you can.
Okay.
Please. Thank you.
Okay.
Guys, I walked out. Feeling like the queen that I am. I walked out. I went to my co-worker's classroom. I sat in there while she was teaching. And from her classroom, I could see the office where my boss was at. I could see that, homegirl will be worried. She's worried that I actually want to leave. She's worried because I called a bluff. She probably never thought that I would say I want the release later. I mean, how dare you? Who says give me the letter of release? Because usually when directors and bosses say I'm gonna fire you, I'm going to give you a letter of release. People are going to be like, oh, no, I'm sorry. Okay, I'll stay. I won't go. But I was just like, hell no. This is my uncle. Get up, do cool. It's like, it's my day one. I'm not going to not go home because of this job. I was like, okay. Planning in my head, next week I go and do my visa. What if they don't give me the D10 visa? I'm okay with not getting the D10 visa. It's good. I can literally just close my apartment, fly home to bury him, come back, pack my bags, and go back to South Africa. I have no issue with going home. Y'all know this, right? So later on in the evening, I went to evening activities with another coworker, and I was working from 6:30 until 7:10. And while we were doing evening activities, my boss's husband, who runs the company with her, asks to speak to me, and I was like, here we go. And he was like, I heard about your uncle. I'm so sorry about that. You said you wanted to go home on Thursday, right? And I was like, yeah. Then he basically explained the fact that, I mean, if I want to go home, other people have got other reasons they want to go home to. So, I mean, how are they going to control the whole thing? You know, with coworkers saying, I now want to go home because of this, because they've allowed me to go home. And I was like, no, I understand. Like, no, I'm good. Get sharp. Well, I understand. You don't have to explain over and over, you know, because in my head, I'm like, I'm leaving. Then he says to me, okay, following week is Chuseok. We're not going to be working anyway on Thursday and Friday. So we think the best solution is that you take Thursday and Friday off. He opens his calendar. You take Thursday and Friday off, and then you have the whole of next week Chuseok off. And then you're back in Korea on Saturday. Does that work? And we won't make it unpaid. You will take it as sick leave. Is that okay with you? And I was like, well, is it okay? I was like, yeah, it's fine. I was like, it's okay with me. And he's like, okay, you'll come back on Saturday. You are going to book a return flight. And I was like, dude, why wouldn't I book a return flight? Like, why wouldn't I return to work? I am. Or do you think I'm running away? Or what do you think this is? Like, do you guys need me to send you his death certificate? Do you need proof? Because I have all the proof in the world. I'm not making it up. Like, my uncle is legit normal. I mean, I wish I were making it up that my uncle was really alive, but I was lying. But who makes up such lies anyway, you know? I wouldn't. I personally wouldn't do something like that. So I was like, I am going to come back to work. Don't worry about it. I'll be back at work on Monday. It's fine. You can go. And I was like, okay, thank you very much. The following day, I go to my boss and I said, thank you very much for allowing me to go home. We had the discussion with your husband, and I appreciate you giving me this kind of support. And she says to me, you know, I noticed you were so sad. You were so sad that your mind was starting to be unstable. And it was causing you to make such careless decisions. Asking for the letter of release. And she was like, you know, in Korea, when somebody is not thinking clearly about things, we feel like so much bad luck is going to happen. So just calm down. Everything is going to be okay. And I was like, okay. And she was like, come. And she brought me closer to her, and she was like, and she patted me and she hugged me. She's like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. In my head, I was like, no, mama. Did this lady just say that I'm unstable? Anyway, so she tells me about all of this bad luck and stuff. And Saturday, guess what happens? She gets involved in an accident. So the bad luck goes to her. But anyway, that's not the point. That's not the point. And the week comes. I'm excited. I book my flight home. I tell my friends, guys, I'm coming home. I go home. I land in South Africa on the Friday. Yo, I was so busy this weekend. I landed home, an hour and a half after landing. I did my nails. After that, I went home to pack. Um, I drove to the free set where my uncle was getting buried. The funeral came. The most horrible day ever. The 14th of September is just always going to be a reminder of how shattered I was. My uncle's departure is just, I don't know. We had great support coming from family, from friends. Sunday, I drove back to Johannesburg. Monday, I rested. Tuesday, I rested. Wednesday, I got my eyebrows done. On Thursday, I plaited my braids. And on Friday, it was time for me to come back, guys. I did not have a lot of time with my own family at home. I was happy to have been home. My heart was at peace knowing that I came to bid my uncle farewell, that I love so much. May his amazing, friendly soul just rest in peace. And I hope that justice will be served and the people who did this to him will be punished accordingly. But anyway, I come back, guys. I use Air China. Hey, Air China. When I find you, I'm gonna you. I use Air China. Obviously, I'm not a fan, guys, because I've got my own airlines that I love. I'm very picky over airlines, but this is the only airline that made sense, and it was coming back on Saturday, and I was like, you know what? Let me just take it back. I have 2 layovers in China, in Shenzhen, which I like Shenzhen, and in Beijing. I've never been to Beijing. I know I'm not going to leave the airport, but just to touch down in Beijing, the capital, I was like, this is going to be quite interesting. I get told that I need a transit visa to go into China, and I'm like, no, my lady, I'm going to Korea. I'm not even leaving the airport. I'm there for like 3 hours. And she says, okay, it's your risk if you're going to board the flight, but when you get there, they might need a transit visa. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go. Anyway, guys, we get there, Shenzhen, they do the transit visa for us. It takes so long. I end up missing my flight. Now, when you miss this flight, you now have to remember that you've got another flight in Beijing to catch into South Korea. We could not get a flight from Shenzhen to Beijing because flights were unavailable. Air China was being so stuck up. Hate that airline. They were so rude. They wanted us to pay for new flights, even though it was their fault that we were delayed in Johannesburg for an hour and a half. We missed the flight because we were busy with immigration doing our transit visas. So they ended up getting us a flight, but this time it was to Tianjin. I was like, okay, we'll do Tianjin. Arrived around 9:30 p.m. I decided to get a hotel to stay there for the night because I was not going to sleep at the airport. The following morning, I was going back to Korea. And in between all of this, my boss had sent me a message. And I couldn't respond because I didn't have a VPN, right? So I read the message and she was like, please let me know when you're home yet. And I was like, okay, I'm not home. Hey, are you in Daegu? I was like, okay, I'm not back. I couldn't respond on my cacao. So I was like, you know what? I'll get back to you on Sunday because we're not working on Sunday, we're working on Monday anyway. I arrive on Sunday, so I get into the K2X. I finally charge my phone. I'm excited that I'm back in Korea, my home. And I switch on my cacao and I see a message from my boss. And in this message, she basically says, Dear B, if you don't report to the modulars, which is where the other location will work, tomorrow, September 23rd, 2024, I will go to immigration and declare the situation to them. I hope this reaches you. Thank you. And then she leaves her name, boss lady. And I read this message and I was like, oh gosh, so dramatic. So dramatic. So there I'm tapping away, oh, there's no need to go to immigration, I'm back in the country. And I'm like, hang on. This is a threat. This lady's threatening to cancel my visa at immigration. And I was like, really? 2 threats? In a space of what? 2 weeks? And I was like, I'm not doing this. So I typed her a message to say, I told her I'm going home to my uncle's funeral and that I'll be back for work. And that is that. My flight was delayed in Johannesburg. I arrived in China, I missed my 2 connection flights. There were no more flights out of China. Hence why I only left China this morning. But I did have intentions of arriving in South Korea on Saturday. Please have a look at the images below for reference. Then I sent her my itinerary that said I would be arriving in South Korea on Saturday. I sent her the new flight tickets to show her that I'm leaving China, coming into Korea, and that I have landed. I told her all of this, and I told her I could not send you messages because the messages kept, bouncing back. And in the end of my message, I said to her, you can still go to immigration if you would like to. Please let me know when my last day will be. Thanks. Then I got off my cacao. I responded to all of my other texts from family and friends to let them know that I'm okay. I've left China. I'm now in Korea and I'm traveling back to my city. I didn't check my cacao for about 6 hours. And later on, my boss had sent a message saying, I'm sorry for your happenings in China. Please report to work on Monday because is sick. But thank you for your explanation. And I was like, whatever. 3 hours later, decided to just give her an emoji on cacao. On Monday, I go to work and my coworkers are shocked. What are you doing here? We thought you're not coming. We heard that you have a problem and you're not coming to work. And I was like, what problem is this? Because I'm at work. You guys don't have to actually cover my classes. I will be working. I said I will be back on Monday. And we arrive at work. My boss's husband arrives and my coworker was supposed to be taking my class now gets asked, what are you doing here? And she was like, well, I was asked to come in. And he was like, but she's here. So you don't even have to be here. And I was just like, wait a minute. So she didn't actually believe that I was back in the country. Because if she did, she would have told my coworker, listen, you don't have to cover her classes tomorrow. And I thought, so my boss probably thought that I made this whole story up. Maybe there's not even a funeral. Maybe she's running away from work. Like, I don't know, guys. I don't know what she had in her mind. But I feel like she felt like I was not coming back to work. And I was just like, I'm back at work. I had no intentions of leaving. So I don't know what this whole thing was about. And the husband badmouthed me to my coworker. I should have told my boss. My boss worried the entire weekend, calling all the teachers in the city she could think of to take over my classes. Why did I not tell my boss that I was leaving SA? Like, she worried about me. She called me. I was nowhere to be found. And I was just like, on a Saturday? Why are you worrying on Saturday that I'm not coming back to work? It's not Monday. And why are you worrying on Sunday that I'm not coming back to work? It's not Monday. And I told you I was back. I'm not going to lie to you guys. In that moment, I was like, I have lost all respect for my boss. Like, completely. Like, I have this much respect for that lady. She put me through hell. I've not really had a moment to mourn because I was threatened. I've come back to work. It's a bit of this, it's that, you're coming back to threats. Like, I feel like I haven't had that time to mourn my uncle properly. I was just sick. And I was like, yo, this is tough. This is really tough. So yeah, that's what happened, guys. I got threatened twice by my boss. I told her twice that it's fine, I'm out. You can let me know when my last day is. And I mean, had she told me when my last day was after coming back from the funeral, I would have packed and gone home, guys. You guys know this. I'm not afraid of going back home. I love my country to bits. And I get along like anybody, I'm not here to beg for any job. I'm not desperate. If you want to hire me, but don't make me beg for a job because I'm not going to do it. Never. So that's what happened. I told you there was drama in Korea. I told y'all that there's a lot of drama. Thank you so much for your support, your love, and just for always sticking around. I know I'm not the most consistent. I got the content. I will keep it rolling. I will keep editing, and I will keep connecting with you guys. Thank you so much. Sarange.